nearly 2,000 National Guard troops have begun withdrawing from Los Angeles, concluding a month of controversial presence. The city breathes a sigh of relief, but the lingering effects of fear and division remain intact.
The sound of soldiers' footsteps is fading on the streets of Los Angeles. July 15th marks a turning point as the Trump administration ordered the withdrawal of nearly 2,000 National Guard troops from the city. A decision that appears purely military on the surface, but is in reality an acknowledgement of pressure from California authorities amid a rising wave of criticism over immigration crackdowns. The controversies surrounding control, state autonomy, and the misuse of armed forces are no longer a simmering conflict. They are now palpable on every street, in every voice raised by Los Angeles residents. The withdrawal of approximately 2,000 troops from the National Guard's 79th Infantry Brigade combat team comes as California officials called for an end to the deployment, which the White House had previously suggested would last for 60 days. This infantry brigade was federalized and deployed by President Trump on June 7th, following chaotic protests, despite opposition from the California governor, who traditionally controls the state's National Guard. Los Angeles Mayor Karen Bass called the partial withdrawal of federal troops from the city a significant victory, following their controversial deployment to quell unrest after immigration crackdowns.
Hello, everybody. Good afternoon, everyone. I am here to say that we've had an important victory. I think because Los Angeles stood strong, because we understood what it meant that the federal government came in and seized power away from our governor regarding the deployment of the National Guard and inappropriately sent the National Guard here when they were not needed. The administration has finally understood that they need to withdraw the troops. 2,000 troops are being withdrawn. We don't exactly know where they're going. I certainly hope that these young people will not be used as props in some other city. I have said from the beginning that what is happening in Los Angeles is we are being used as a test case, and I am hoping that this experiment with the lives of people ends here. This has been a blow to the economy of the nation's second largest city. We are an immigrant city, a city where there's sectors of our economy that are dependent on immigrant labor. We have rebuilding that needs to be done, whether we are talking about the wildfires or whether we are talking about preparations for the major events coming up. And the idea that troops would be used, the economy would be hit. Who do you think does the building in this city? We know that the construction industry has significant percentage of immigrant labor. Some people have said 40%. I believe that's a gross underestimation. Well, you know what? I am hoping that this is the beginning of a complete withdrawal of all National Guard troops and of all Marines. Our soldiers are trained to fight to kill foreign enemies in foreign lands. There was never a need for them here before, and there isn't a need for them now. And frankly, Pete, if they didn't go about the raids in the manner in which they did, originally this was targeted arrests for the worst of the worst. We never saw that materialize. What we saw was masked men, unmarked cars, drawing guns, snatching people off the street. Now, we are a city of 500 square miles. We had problems in about 2 square miles. It lasted for a couple of days. I initiated a curfew. We have had no problems for weeks. So why were they here? It is a misuse of the men and women who serve our country. And I frankly think that the retreat that is happening today of the Guard being hopefully sent home will be an indication that the administration knows they're on extremely weak ground and leaving with dignity rather than the court ordering them to leave. Thank you very much.
Prior to this, Los Angeles Mayor Karen Bass stated that the federal government was acting like a big bully in conducting various raids across California.
I could certainly imagine an occasion where somebody would flee into a city building, but again, if there is a specific warrant for that individual, then the city staff would not be able to stop that. But like I said, for the last month, nobody up here has heard of any warrants. That's not what the tactic is. And I think that, just to reemphasize the strategy, I mean, this is about provoking fear and terror in our city. This is about demonstrating to Los Angeles that we're the federal government and we can come in and do whatever we want, whenever we want, wherever we want. And it starts with the seizure of power from our governor in terms of the National Guard, and then the ridiculous display of force that you saw in MacArthur Park. That was over the top just to demonstrate to LA that the federal government is a big bully and is going to come in whenever they choose to. So if they wanted to go about this in the organized manner, remember this started with violent criminals, with drug dealers, drug traffickers, and now we're talking about women who are selling fruit on a corner, or people who are trying to survive day to day as day laborers, are car washes. People are beginning to complain now because car washes aren't open. Why would you prey on a car wash? Unless you preying on that car wash because you know those are very vulnerable workers.
The initial deployment surged to over 4,000 troops as the Los Angeles police faced nightly protests in the city center, and Trump administration officials deemed military force necessary to restore order. Additionally, more than 700 regular Marines were also deployed to the Los Angeles area. During the protest in Los Angeles on July 11th, Martha Arevalo, executive director of Caracen, called on ICE agents and National Guard troops to consider choosing between standing on the wrong or right side of history. She emphasized that respecting the human rights and dignity of immigrants is the right action for them to take, rather than abetting actions that harm the community.
As you've heard, our community is under siege. Let's be clear. This is not about arresting criminals. This is not about what's best for this country. This is about a petty little man who is in the White House, who seeks revenge on sanctuary cities for protecting families, for protecting children, for protecting workers who give their labor, their lives, and their blood and their sweat to this country. It is that labor that has made California the fourth largest economy in the world. If California doesn't have that labor and that community, the whole country suffers. And unless we get ICE out of LA, that wave is coming.
You heard it. When it comes to resistance, we ain't new to this. We true to this.
I also want to appeal to those ICE agents, to those National Guard men and women. You have a choice to be on the wrong side of history or to be on the right side of history. And respecting people's rights and people's lives and giving them the dignity that they deserve, it's the right thing to do. It's what you have sworn to do. What you're being asked to do here in Los Angeles to attack communities is the wrong thing to do.
Say hey, 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 ho! Ice out of LA! Ice out of LA! Ice out of LA! Ice out of LA!
I come from the sun and I come from the moon. The sky is my father, and like the flowers I bloom. I look like my mother, her skin is dark brown. I look like my mother, cause I came from the ground. My heart beats in rhythms cause it's made like a drum. But when I speak up, all the ancestors come. We sing songs of the past, of the present, of our pain. And when we get together, we say, not in our name, not in our name. And I think about what we have to do in this time. What do we have to do as an artist? Yo, what do we do? And I look to the words of Toni Morrison, who says, this is precisely the time that we go to work. This is the time that we go to work. We cannot despair. We cannot relinquish in self-pity. We cannot have hopelessness. We write, we create, we do language. This is how we heal. This is how we heal. Summer of resistance is how we heal.
The state of California has sought legal action in federal court to halt the deployment of National Guard troops and Marines, calling it an illegal and abusive use of military force. Notably, many of the National Guard soldiers deployed since June had just completed missions assisting local authorities in recovering from severe wildfires in Southern California in January. From city leaders to grassroots immigrant communities, Los Angeles has chosen to not remain silent. This withdrawal is not only a tactical victory, but also a symbol of a broader struggle for human rights, for dignity, and for the voice of communities deemed vulnerable. But the summer is not over, and the resistance continues.